How's it going, everybody? Welcome to 2A News Now. And here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. Before I start today's video, I want to call your attention to a video that I made yesterday. It's called Florida Police Are Confiscating Ammunition. And since I posted it yesterday, it's got over 30,000 views. And if you haven't watched that video yet, I'm going to post a link in the description and also post a thumbnail at the end of this video, and both of those will take you straight to that particular video. Alright, let's get on with today's video. Senate Democrats once again are pressuring credit card companies to resurrect merchant category codes for gun stores. It shouldn't be a surprise to see Elizabeth Warren and the vast majority of Senate Democrats try to revive the merchant category codes for gun stores that most major credit card companies have declined to use, though they might be modified. No gun control policy ever really goes away, no matter how unpopular, flawed, or ineffective it might be. And the merchant category codes are definitely flawed, which is one reason why companies like Visa, MasterCard, and American Express decided to hit the pause button on their implementation earlier this year. Warren and 48 of her fellow Democrats in Congress have sent a letter to the corporations demanding they start to move forward on the codes, at least in states like California, where lawmakers have mandated their use. In their letters, the lawmakers asked the companies a dozen questions on their work on the merchandise category codes to date, and cited the growing number of U.S. mass shootings. And they claim there's been over 600 so far this year. They referred to cases in which high-profile mass shooters charge large firearm purchases on their credit cards ahead of the crimes. Credit cards often facilitate the purchase of firearms used to commit this violence, the letter states. They were co-led by Warren of Massachusetts and by U.S. Representative Madeleine Dean of Pennsylvania. National Shooting Sports Foundation spokesman Mark Olivier said, "The Firearm Association hopes to see legislation introduced to protect the financial privacy of Americans making lawful firearm purchases with their credit cards. The credit card companies have been resistant to the use of these codes from the get-go because they're really not designed for the purposes that gun control activists and anti-gun politicians like Warren intend. The codes don't provide any information on specific purchases, just dollar amounts and the site where the card was used. So how exactly are credit card companies supposed to determine whether a particular transaction is suspicious enough to report to the feds? For example, a $10,000 charge at a big box retailer like Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's may be cause for alarm for Warren and her colleagues, but it easily could be a purchase of a fishing boat or some other pricey item that is not going to be used for any nefarious purpose. Someone with evil intentions, on the other hand, could buy a couple of boxes of ammo and a single firearm without raising any suspicion at all." In their letter, Warren and the other Democrats point to a couple of cases where mass shooters have purchased multiple firearms and hundreds of rounds of ammunition beforehand, but neglected to mention how many millions of similar transactions have taken place by gun owners who don't go on to commit a crime. The credit card companies know how unworkable this is, which is why some of them, like the recently retired CEO of Visa, Al Kelly, have gone on the record and declared them unnecessary. Guns are allowed in the United States, and we would fully expect that anybody who wants to buy a gun should be able to buy that gun, provided all the other checks are done. On top of that, we're telling them that we won't collect that level of data for consumers. So if Visa's chief communication officer, KC Kavanaugh, goes into a gun store and buys 3 thermoses and a tent, and you go in to buy a rifle and a box of ammunition, all they know is they both went to the same gun store, and they would know what gun store and know when they went and how much money they spent, but they don't know what you bought. Part of the rationale on the part of the anti-gunners is to monitor the purchases, at least in some degree, made at gun stores. But another reason why they're so keen on seeing the merchant category codes implemented is to put pressure on companies like Visa and others to block credit cards from being used for purchases of guns and ammunition. So what if doing so would stop far more law-abiding citizens who don't have a lot of spending money to purchase a firearm for self-defense, recreation, or even put food on the table, than it would block criminals from acquiring a gun? It's not like the gun control lobby really cares about protecting the rights of law-abiding citizens to acquire a firearm. The more denials, the better. at least from their perspective. Will Elizabeth Warren's strongly worded letter undo the pause announced by these companies earlier this year? We certainly hope not, and I doubt this will be the last word we hear from the Massachusetts senator on this subject. Like I said earlier, gun control policies never really disappear. So even if the letter is ignored, the anti-gunners will soon be pushing once more for the category codes to be put in place. Please let me know in the comments section what you think about these merchant category codes, and I will always say it in every one of my videos. I really appreciate everybody's support with the channel. You guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And I invite you to come on back and watch my next video.